Joining me now is Senior Fellow at Defense Priorities and host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube, retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. Lieutenant Colonel, great to see you. First, what is your reaction to the fall of the Assad regime?
Well, listen, it came as a shock to virtually everybody. We knew that the Assad regime was weak. That it could. I mean, even after it so-called stabilized things in its civil war, which started in 2011, around the 2020 timeframe, it was still not able to gain that territory back, and especially the Idlib territory, which was very close to the government-held areas. They were never able to even push into there. But I don't think that anybody expected them to literally dissolve and crumble, which leads me to believe, just looking at it militarily, that there was almost certainly some kind of deals made with these HTS groups and the Bashar al-Assad forces. Just like I personally observed in Afghanistan, there were times when the Taliban made deals with the Afghan security forces so that they would not fight in certain areas. And then that's definitely what happened when the Afghan government collapsed in August of 2021. And the same kind of thing probably happened here.
So what do you think this means, Lieutenant Colonel, ultimately, for what potentially could happen in the Middle East?
Well, listen, this is just unleashing a whole, classic Pandora's box situation that could play out so many different ways, but it's just hard to see how it ends up good for the people of Syria, especially because you have Turkey, which was a big supporter of a lot of what HTS was doing. They have their own interest in, and especially in the northern part of Syria. You have Israel already taking more territory in the south around the Golan Heights area. And then, of course, you have the Russian interests, and then all these different groups within Syria, even within HTS. It was an agglomeration of a number of different violent groups, and there are still others outside of that that are not with them. They'll all be trying to vie for power and figure out how this is going to shake out. But I get the feeling that it's more like vultures circling Syria, and everybody's going to want to share.
So, Lieutenant Colonel Davis, there are a lot of people watching this who do not fully understand what is certainly a very complicated history. I mean, we're talking about a 13-year civil war. Talk about why Americans should care.
Well, listen, Americans, the one reason why we should care, first of all, is because we have around 900 uniformed service members in Syria, which needs to be withdrawn immediately. Those guys shouldn't have ever been there. They should have left a long, long time ago, even after they were there on this, so-called defeat ISIS mission. That ended in basically 2019, and they have been serving no purpose since then, but have been serving as a strategic vulnerability for our country. So we need to care about, first of all, our troops, get them out of there so nobody else is in harm's way. But beyond that, we have an incentive in basically keeping this from expanding outside of Syria, any instability, but within. Frankly, it's not our play, and I think that we need to not try to, quote, tip the scales in one direction or another.
Yeah, and you talked about American troops who are there. What do you think this could mean for American freelance journalist and Marine Corps vet Austin Tice, who was kidnapped as he was reporting in Syria all the way back in 2012?
Yeah, that's the one really positive hope that we have, and certainly his family and his mother have been outspoken since all this stuff started breaking that they want to use this as an opportunity to get him free. And apparently, the State Department is all over this, trying to aggressively make contacts with some of these folks from the HTS to see if we can get him released. Some reports in the Washington Post this morning are that they are cooperating and they are helping to try to find that because he was, imprisoned by the administration of or the regime rather of Assad. So he's not somebody that they would want to keep. They were against the Assad regime as well. So there is some hope that he can be found and released soon. I certainly hope that's the case.
All right. So, Lieutenant Colonel, what do you think happens next?
Yeah, well, that's what we need a big crystal ball for. I fear that this unity of the HTS, him saying that we're going to be pluralistic, we're going to, take care of all the minorities, and we just want to govern. I hope that's what happens. But, we've seen way too much in this entire region for decades, if not centuries, of once these groups get into power, all of a sudden the unity starts to fray, and then they start infighting, and everybody wants to have, they want to ascend in power, et cetera. And I fear that this could turn into an even bloodier situation that it's been since 2020. I hope that's not right, but I fear that's what's coming.
Yeah, we certainly hope that is not the case. Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, always great to speak with you. Thank you.